Hi guys, we are live down at the Stump-tailed macaque house here at Monkey World. So I'm Annie from the education team. We've got Charlie as normal for behind the camera and filming today. So we're down at the Stumpies. Let us know if you can hear us and see us okay. Say hello, send a like. The guys have just come in to the playroom behind me, so Charlie I think is going to have a little zoom in and see what they're up to. Before I really start talking about them, we'll give you some bit of time so people can join in. Fabulous, we've got lots of likes coming through, so we know people can see us and hear us. So I think we can probably see Sam at the back on the ground. They've got Noreen, who's doing a fabulous job, who's up on the branch. On that blue lid, that kind of blue plastic bit, we've got smashed butter beans that she's really tucking into at the moment. People don't always think that the Stumpies are very agile, but Noreen is showing us that she can still move about pretty well. Coming down at the trunk now, fabulous. We've still got lots of likes, people coming through. Hi everybody, hi Jaden, hi Jill. Fabulous, lovely, lots of people coming through. So if you've seen our worksheet that we've put out this week for a bit of homeschooling activity, we've done similar to last week. It's a project to design a stump-tailed macaque enclosure, and I thought I would do a couple that are a bit different. Just got a bit of engine noise going behind us, if you can hear a bit of a strange noise at the moment. Yeah, I wanted to do a similar activity but for some very different primates on this one. If you did our home education course earlier in the year, you might remember us talking about the differences between arboreal primates, so those are monkeys and apes who live up in trees, and terrestrial primates, which, like stump-tailed macaques, are primates who spend more of their time down on the ground. So the houses are designed a little bit differently. As you can see, we've actually got quite a few of the guys on the ground at the moment. So it's Sam just kind of slightly disappearing off screen at the moment. And then you've got Kelly, who's kind of walking towards us at the moment.
And then up here as well, who have we got there?
Who have we got up there? So
Sylvie?
Noreen up there, because I can just see Sylvie behind you. The light's against us a little bit here. So you've got Sylvie on the ground in front of us, Kelly a little bit further. That's Sylvie's face who just keeps kind of popping in. So because the macaques are more terrestrial, they've got 4 limbs that are all the same length, so they can walk nice and easily on the ground. And they've also got these rather attractive kind of hard pads on their bums because they spend more time either sat on the ground or sat on lower branches, so it stops their bums from getting uncomfortable while they're sat down for longer periods of time. One of their other amazing adaptations, which I just saw Sylvie making use of, is these guys have cheek pouches. So Sylvie up on the branch at the moment, having a good lick of that plastic lid. When she was down on the ground a minute ago foraging in all of the straw, she was really stuffing her cheek pouches full of food. Because where these guys spend more time on the ground in the wild, they are more vulnerable to predators that are also down on the ground. So it's really good that they can stuff their cheek pouches full of food, and then they can go off, maybe sit up somewhere a bit higher that's a bit safer to then take their time to eat the food. It might also be really helpful because if you're maybe a bit lower ranking in the group, you want to make sure that you get your good fair share of food, and you can hide it away in your cheek pouches, and some of the higher rankers aren't going to come and take the food from you. So if you've got any question, guys, please do send them in. A lot of you will probably know that most of our stump-tailed macaques have been rescued from a laboratory. Sam, who is our dominant male in the group, who's over the back of the enclosure at the moment, he's the only macaque remaining from the first rescue we did from a UK lab in 2000. Trying to track Sylvie, but she is, I think, easily the most agile of the Stumpies, and as soon as we get a good view of her, she's off like a shot doing something somewhere else. Luckily Kelly is having a good dig around in the straw in front of us. So the other girls that are in here, Noreen, Kelly and Sylvie, came about 10 years later than Sam. They came from a different lab, and the girls all came together. At the moment, Toto, Freddie, Flo and Charlie just haven't decided to come into the playroom at the moment. Some of them are outside still enjoying the last bit of sunlight, and a couple of the others are hanging out in the back bedrooms watching the primate care staff as they go through their end of the day routines, filling out their diaries, making notes about what's been going on with the animals during the day, and so there's a handover for the next keepers who are in here tomorrow, because they of course work different shifts and don't always see each other every single day.
It's just worth noting in here as well, guys, we've got these blue barrels. We did a little appeal I think last year now for more stumpy proof enrichment. These guys are quite destructive. They like to eat whatever they can get hold of, so we've got lots of equine boomer balls, so things that horses can use to not destroy, and these blue barrels as well. And you can see how the keepers have drilled holes in them and stuffed them with different things, so make sure that there's a nice hard wearing enrichment that these guys aren't going to destroy, but keeps them nice and busy as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of the things you see used in for some of the other primates, cardboard boxes, bottles. These guys do literally just tear apart. People don't always think they look like much, the stumpies, but yeah, there's a lot more destructive nature than perhaps they look like. Have we got any questions coming in at the moment that we can maybe answer?
Yeah, there's been quite a few. Let me just scout back through. 1 second, there's been loads coming in actually.
Amazing.
Hello Susan, hi Carolyn, hi Jaden, hi Jill. Hi Steph, glad to know you love the stumpies. Oh, I'm losing them. Thank you for all the stars, Jaden. That's just popped up. That's great. I'm going to go from the most recent. Simon Gales asked, what is their favourite food?
What's their favourite food? Well, the stumpies, I think their favourite food is lots. They are
quantity.
They can be quite greedy. But like a lot of the primates at the park, they really like the sweet stuff. Fruit is a big favourite of theirs. The sweeter the fruit, the better. It's the same with vegetables as well. We give the guys a lot of vegetables at the park, and they tend to be a bigger fan of things like carrot than more like leafy greens like lettuce, the stuff that has a bit more flavour in it. They'll also have different treats. They have some nuts, but because there's quite a bit of natural fat in nuts, they won't get given too many, because like I say, they can be quite greedy, the stumpies. So yeah, definitely big fan of the fruit, the nuts. Not as big of a fan of the seeds, I believe I've been told.
Someone else wants to know, they were asking about their life in the lab and the weight they've lost. So Annie, I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about their rescue and the adjustments we had to make to the enclosure, because that was one of the questions on the worksheet, wasn't it? How you make an enclosure different?
It was. So yeah, these guys came from 2 different labs. Like I said a moment ago, Sam came first with, I think it was 19 other males from one lab in 2000, and then in 2010 we brought some girls over from a different lab. Because all of them had been kept in quite small enclosures, the boys particularly had been kept in small solitary cages, so they had nowhere to go, nowhere to climb, so they really couldn't exercise at all. The girls had been really overfed as well, so they all came in bad shape, overweight, and with mobility problems as well. They didn't find it very easy to climb, get up onto even low platforms. So the keepers had to work with our maintenance team to design an enclosure that was suitable for these slightly older primates who needed to get their fitness back. So they had a lot of...
Sorry, I'm just panning around so you can see the macaques behind you as well.
It's terrible as well, because as soon as Charlie starts to move, I know that there's something, there's a moment behind me, and I can't help myself to look over and see what they're doing. There's got a helicopter going over us as well, and wants to say hello on our Facebook Live. So the keepers were put in lots of kind of low ramps. Often the ramps have kind of rungs on them, so there's easier handhold to get a good purchase on. As the years have gone on, they have lost a lot of weight. They've just had an appropriate diet. Sometimes with our primates we do have to make sure that they have lower calories, but often it might actually just be a case of what they're eating. Are they just not eating the right diet, or just a bit too much of it before they've come here? So certainly we have to be aware of how many calories they're having as a whole group, and the keepers will always try to encourage the animals to move more by putting food a little bit higher up in the enclosure, up on the climbing frames, a little bit further out of reach, so they have to kind of go use their muscles, use their bodies to go up and get it. Like Charlie was saying, with these guys we're using the barrels, we're using the ball feeders, because although they're a bit more agile than people think they are still some of our older primates at the park, and so they do need a little bit of encouragement sometimes to move and exercise, because sometimes they'd like to stay quite still and and have more of a chilled out life.
See, when they were first here as well, they had to have quite wide, low platforms, didn't they? Because their mobility was not so good. But as the years have gone on, the platforms have been able to be a bit more adventurous. So here we've got branches and things for them to climb on, which when they were first here and they had poor balance, just wouldn't have been an option for these guys. Let me see any more questions while we're watching these guys forage around. Lynn wants to know how long do they live for? How old are these guys? So I think we've covered how old these guys are, but yeah, how long do they live for?
So they live, their life expectancy is around 25 to 30 years. I think all of these guys are around their mid-20s at the moment. With stump-tailed macaques, one of the things that tends to show you how old they are is that where they've got those bright reddish pink faces, as they get older those faces tend to get darker. So some of these guys have got big kind of dark splodges that come across their faces. Some of them, their faces are almost completely that kind of charcoal grey colour. But yeah, I have to admit I can't remember all of their ages individually, but I'm sure they're all in their 20s, around about their mid-20s.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for all the stars coming through. I can see them all coming and really do appreciate them. I just don't want to interrupt Danny too much when she's talking and imparting all this knowledge. So let me go back through. Jason says this is the best lesson he's had all week.
Yes!
Good.
We like to hear that. Thank you very much,
That's what we like
Jason.
to hear. And of course there is more info on our website on the Learning Resources page. And there's more lessons on there as well if you want to get a bit of primate fix.
That's it. Our course that we did earlier in the year is all still up there as well, that goes through kind of everything primate related, their communication, their movement, how they use their senses, how they live in their family groups, their diets. There's a little bit of everything in there, and worksheets and activities that go along with them, so you can always go back, do the whole thing, or just pick and choose from the lessons if you would rather just maybe fit them into what else your little ones are learning about at home at the moment.
Yeah, on that website there is our stamp lesson as well. It's all about the pet trade too, so it sort of goes into what we did last week with the marmosets, but do go and have a look at that as well if you're interested. Sorry, I'm having a look through. I'm not being very... Any serious side effects post lab testing? It's an interesting one from Donna.
Yeah, so I suppose the most obvious one is the weight that they had, the extra weight that they had. Noreen in front of us is probably the best example in this group, where she was very, very overweight. She's lost an awful lot of weight since coming here. She has got lots of excess skin, and her belly kind of hangs down between her legs. So it does make it maybe a little bit harder for them to, well, particularly when they were first here, like Charlie was saying, a bit less mobile to get their balance right, but they've come on